Good afternoon. Here we are, another episode. My name's Ashley Leeds. I'm the 15-minute guy, and I talk to very interesting people who are doing all kinds of things to help business owners. And this week, I have got the lovely Gill Brabner in. She does acting, but in a little different way. So let's find out who she is and what she does. Hello, Gill. How are you?
Hi there, Ashley. Hi, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you very much. I do love a Monday show.
Fantastic.
I do love talking to people, and especially someone that's into acting, because that's one of my passions, as you probably know. So yeah, tell
Absolutely.
everybody a little bit about you and what you do, please.
Okay, so my business is Resound Training and Development. We're a learning and development business working with organisations and businesses. And we have a team of professional actors, and we create short scenarios about workplace issues. And we present those in workshops, either online or face-to-face. And our delegate audience can get involved by interviewing the characters, finding out more information about what's going wrong in that business, and then they redirect the action. So together we co-create the solution to the problem that we've just shown. And
Awesome.
It works brilliantly for all of the management conversations and anything that's behavior related. So it's a great way to work.
Superb. And I guess that you're an actor as well yourself. You've done all of that in the past.
I'm not an actor. I did go to drama school as a mature student, but I focused very much on the directing and teaching side.
Okay, cool. Because the reason I say that is nothing fazed you. My camera cut out halfway through that, and you just carried on as if nothing happened. And if you're listening on the podcast, you don't even know this happened. But anyway, I'm back now, and yeah, no, it's fascinating, isn't it? That the people are, doing all kinds of different things within the sphere of acting. It doesn't just have to be on stage in the West End or on movies and goodness knows what else. So superb. So tell me, this thing that you do, how does it transpire? If I'm at I work for a huge company and the HR department have got this training session going on, what would it look like for me as an employee?
Okay, we send out some pre-information, which we ask our client to circulate, and it contains a really important message for delegates that there is no role play for them. And we do that to get rid of the anxiety up front, because we know that people can they might have had previous bad experiences with role play or feel very anti that way of working. So we always say there's no role play for delegates. The actors are there to do that, but we will be exploring these types of conversations. You'll go away with some frameworks to have better conversations, and whatever it is. And then when we're there, we set up our space really simply. We're often replicating an office space, so a table, chairs, telephones, the usual sort of thing. And our delegates sit round in an audience arc. No PowerPoint, nothing else. I do an introduction. I tell them how it works, how they can get involved, and I reassure them that, we want them to participate in the way that's going to work for them and their learning. And then off we go. The actors play out the scenario which we've prepared, scripted, rehearsed, made sure that it is relatable for that business, for those people in the room, and for the issue that we've been asked to tackle. And then once it's played out, we get some immediate reaction from the audience, and then I invite them to ask questions. So essentially they're interviewing the characters. And this is really important, because if, for example, we've got a scenario where there's a talk of inappropriate behavior and there's 3 characters, what the audience need to hear from is each of those characters. They need to hear those different perspectives. And our scripts are written in a way which has some complexity to them for the audience to unravel, provided they ask really good, insightful questions. So the open questions, and they don't make assumptions, but they ask questions and drill down into what's been going on. We often pause for some discussions, and then we will go into some redirection. So this is where the audience stop and start the action and give the actors their particular direction. So often we're focused on creating a better experience for one character, and to do that there might be two other characters that we're redirecting. Just depends on what it is that we're presenting. But they love that, and that gives the power to the audience to really think about what do we need to change in order to create a better experience. And they can hone in on the smallest of details. So the words that someone's used, their tone of voice, their facial expression, anything at all, their posture, the way they're sitting at the desk, anything that they think might make a difference. And, we have a bit of fun with it, because the actors in character, they're really good at being fully immersed in that character. And if they think, well, my character wouldn't do that, they'll push back and they'll say, well, hang on a minute. Do you realise how busy I am? Have you seen the number of emails I've got, or I've got this meeting to go to in 15 minutes, so that they don't just roll over and it all becomes, a fairy tale and everything's solved immediately. The audience have to work hard to get that solution. And that totally sort of replicates the work experience, doesn't it? We have to work hard to get the change we need.
Yeah. So some of these scenarios. Some of these scenarios, in busy organizations, there's some online training, and you watch a video, and you can pause it, you can rewind it, and what have you. But you can't turn around and go, I wonder if they said this like that. And so it's like everybody participating is a director as well, so they can get into it. So tell me,
exactly.
So if I was playing the part of, I don't know, Fred the bullying member of the team, I would have a backstory that I've learnt, and it probably turns out that I was bullied as a child or in a previous role and stuff like that. And then so when the audience start turning around and go, oh, Ken, what are you like? No, I'm not picking on anyone called Ken, but that might be my character. And I go, hey, Ken. And then I sort of like, from my backstory that I've obviously learned and practiced and read up on, I was telling her, oh yeah, but when I was a kid, Is that the sort of thing? Is that how it works?
Well, every character has quite a detailed backstory, which we develop with the actor, because the actors get totally involved and they feel very strongly about the backstory and what works and what doesn't. So it's really important to bring them into that rather than just give it to them. And they love that way of working. In terms of the backstory, it's more about what's gone on within the organisation and the things that and other people in the organisation that might be having impact. There will be times when we might go to somebody's own sort of childhood, but that's less likely in a sort of management conversation piece. It's more likely that there is a significant backstory to the culture of the organisation and what's been going on, what's been allowed. So in your example there, Ashley, of Ken the bully, for example, it's likely that Ken's been operating in this way for a long time, and it's been allowed, or it's been glossed over. And maybe Ken is a brilliant salesman, or maybe Ken is come in and transform the place in terms of its IT software, or there'll be some reason why Ken's been allowed to get away with what he has previously, and therefore the culture has built up around this person and their behavior. And then you might look back and find out that actually there's been quite a churn in the teams that he's been in, of people coming and going, and that's not really been taken very seriously. So it's just been thought, well, these people, they come in and they leave, and it's but why? Is it because he's picked on that person and they just decide they're not going to front it up, they're going to move on, they would rather get away from it? So that's the sort of backstory that we develop so that we hone in on organizational culture, what managers need to be thinking about. So we've got one of our flagship scenes. A really interesting part of the story is that we've got an interim manager who has stepped up because the head of the department is on long-term sick leave. But she's a friend, a close friend to the person, the perpetrator of inappropriate behaviour. And that has created this conflict of interest. So she doesn't address it in the way that she really needs to. It gets, you just, I've told you about this before, you've just got to stop it. And he says, yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. I didn't mean anything. It's just banter, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, and his behaviour is having a huge impact on other people. But it hasn't really come to the fore because people have just thought, oh, well, I'll just ignore that and keep my head down. Which is what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, art reflecting life, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you can divulge this or not, but what are the most popular scenarios that you get booked for?
Bullying and harassment. And we've been running a particular scenario which we adapt to different organisations because we've worked with all sorts of different sectors, and we've been running that since 2007.
Wow.
It does not go away, and it's a dreadful cost to individuals and to businesses. More recently, we have delivered a lot of workshops on sexual harassment because of the new duty that was put on employers last October. So we will often be brought in to support a change in employment law, which impacts the way managers need to operate. And that's an example of one. But otherwise, the sort of evergreen scenarios are performance management and sickness absence, well-being conversations we're being requested more recently. We've got an event we're doing next week on well-being conversations. And then we get some specialist ones from time to time, which require some research, some bespoke scripting, and we develop pieces specifically for that organisation. So, for example, we've done work with adult social care, with mental health teams, advocacy groups, domestic violence units. So they're all specialist scenarios that we've created for the organisation that's brought us in.
Wow. I just thought it would be one or two. It's mad. You must have an absolute huge menu. Before I mention anything else, I'm just going to say a quick hello to Michal for coming on and saying hello. I hope you're enjoying the show today. So I guess you have quite a few of your clients that book you and have you on a regular basis because of what you do and the fact that you're so diverse and you can cover lots of different subjects. Is that right?
We do, and particularly for something like customer service, for example, in large organisations, that can get repeated out across lots and lots of different groups. And we've had situations where we've gone in and updated the scenarios and gone back in to refresh, that type of thing. So yeah, and it's always great to build those long-term relationships with clients. And then we get these one-off events where we're asked to put something on for a conference, and we often get given that after lunch slot, so we go in,
wake everybody up,
wake everyone up. The actors are on stage, they're mic'd up. We've got people with handheld mics running around for the audience to get the interaction. And they're great fun, and they're great vehicles for some humour, and so we love doing those too. And they need a slightly different approach and more preparation and so on, but they're great fun to deliver, and they definitely get the audience. I mean, we've had 200 people on their feet shouting out directions to an actor on the platform. So yeah, they're good fun.
Absolutely. So who writes all these what do you call them, plays?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to call them scenarios because
Okay.
they're short, aren't they? But so myself and a colleague of mine, so yeah, we've done a lot of the scripting over the years, and for those big pieces of work, the user research piece up front really makes such a difference. So that's where we get an opportunity to interview a group of employees, run focus groups. And really sort of manage to bring in different strands and script. We never script one person's story that might have been told to us, but we look to bring in threads from different stories and to create a new scenario from that. So it feels real. It feels, yeah, this is us. This is about us, but it's not one person's story, which would be quite threatening.
So Sally from accounts isn't going to sit there and go, oh my goodness, this is me.
No, we don't want that, do we? No, absolutely not. But there might be something that she thinks, oh yeah, no, that could definitely happen here, or something similar has happened here.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
when you're watching things on TV and what have you, you sort of like, you see somebody behaving like in such a way and you go, oh, that is me. That's how I behave. So yeah, I suppose that's okay. But if it was sort of
Yeah.
like definitely Sally from accounts, she'd be having kittens, wouldn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got to look after people and keep them safe so that they can embrace the learning, because what we're after is that change, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're after the better conversations back in the workplace.
So if I'm going to book you for my organization, okay, we've got, I don't know, a problem with something in our business in certain team, and going to book you to come in and do something. Typically, how long would it be? Is it going to be a whole day? Is it a week? Is it just an hour? What, how do we fit this into our training and learning and development within our organization?
So if it's face to face, we'll often deliver a half day, and in large organisations we do 2.5 days in the full day. So that's the best, most cost effective way to run it. If we're delivering online, we'll often do 90-minute workshops, because 90 minutes on Teams I think is enough, and we do one scenario. So we're really focused, one issue, we solve one problem in that workshop. But everybody can obviously participate in the same way. And we always script the scenario so that it is people talking on Teams. They're calling a colleague on Teams to have a meeting, or they're joining a Teams meeting. So we're actually using that to play it out. But when we're face to face, it's often half day.
I love that. That's brilliant. And so I don't work for a huge organization, so I'm not going to get to see you. How would I get to see something that you're doing then? Because I'd just love to see it. I think it would be brilliant.
We run some free events, and you can join one of our wait lists via our website. So if you go to resoundtraining.co.uk, you'll see there some under the Forum Theatre chat tab, some opportunities to join the wait list for the next free online session, and we'd love to have you there, Ashley. That'd be great fun. The other way is that if you are part of a networking group that's putting on an event, whether that's online or face to face, you might consider asking us to join you and do something there. So yeah, there's still lots of ways that you can experience what we do. And then of course we've got our YouTube channel, which is Resound Training, and we've got all our actors on there in different scenarios on video, and we've got some clips from some events as well.
Sounds brilliant. Right, how do I get an audition to be an actor?
Well, send me your acting CV, Ashley. I'll have a look, and then we will.
Looks something like that. Looks something like that at the moment. He says, holding up a blank piece of paper. So you write all these scenarios, and you create all these different characters. Have you got a favorite character, Gill?
Oh, well, I really like Susie, who is our pretty hopeless manager, interim manager. And I like her because she means well, but she's getting everything wrong, and there's lots of scope there for people to offer her some learning in the course of the redirection. And it's it's a way to make that point that new managers need support. We shouldn't just put people into a management role without offering them some resources, some support, because there are so many pitfalls out there, and they have an impact on the rest of their team. So she's a great one. We've got Bob. I'm not sure that I would like him, because of he is a character in our inappropriate behavior scenario. But the thing about Bob is that he's very likable, and that really plays with people's responses. They like him, but they know they shouldn't like him, and therefore it's, well, what's the professional response to this? So that's an interesting experience for people. And then we've got Tanya, who is a new employee, and she's struggling. But the great thing about Tanya is that she's right in that Gen Z zone, and she's prepared to stand up for herself and say so. And and she galvanizes the audience. Everybody's on her side and wants everyone to do better so that she has a better work experience. And that's always great to witness.
Brilliant. And so you go to this organization today and do this scenario, and then next week you're going to another one. Do you take the same actors with you that play all these different characters? Is Tanya always played by Sally or whatever she's called?
Well, no, because actors are busy people doing lots of juggling, lots of different work. So typically we'll have a group of people and they come in and out. But we do have a core group that have been working with me since the beginning. So 20 years.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's great, because when we go out, as long as one of those core sort of people are with me, it's like an anchor. And it just helps everything run so smoothly when you've got that sort of consistent approach and you just know how you work together. And I love that. But it's really important to bring new people in, because it's got to reflect the current work situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, we need more Tanyas coming in, because we're employing millennials and Gen Z and stuff. So it's keeping it fresh, which keeps you on your toes and makes it more interesting. Hey, Jill?
It does. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, they keep me on my toes.
That's
they really do.
Oh, this has been absolutely fascinating, Jill. I know you've got a question for LinkedIn to ask me, but what question haven't I asked you today?
Oh, well, that would be about our ECA model, which is embedded within these workshops, which is just a really simple framework that we created to help people have better work conversations. And it simply stands for empathy, care, action. And it's just so important to go in with empathy and encourage people to do that piece really well, which is understanding the other person's perspective, listening to understand. It's basic skills, but they work so well. They make such a difference, because when our team members feel valued and heard, they're much more likely to be on side to deliver for us. It makes coming to work, whether that's online or in the building, a pleasure rather than a nightmare. So leading with empathy, demonstrating that you care for the person, for their well-being, but also about outcomes. We all have a responsibility to play our part in delivering what the business needs us to deliver. We all have a contribution to make, don't we? And then taking action, because empathy, care, action is created to build a compassionate response, but we are not being compassionate without action. That's embedded within the definition of compassion. So we need to take action. And that's a simple framework which we get people using in the redirection. It's really effective.
What a brilliant way to end a brilliant show. Gill, you've been absolutely fantastic. And we'll come to the question in a second. I'm just going to quickly go to next week because I have Sam Flynn coming in. Now, she's a digital expert, but she's gone more into digital well-being because we spend far too much time on our phones, on social media, etc., etc., etc. So quite an interesting discussion because obviously I teach LinkedIn. So I'm looking forward to having a chat with Sam next week. So your question for me regarding LinkedIn then, Jill?
Yes. So Ashley, we're all told to put quality content on LinkedIn. You must post quality content. But what does that actually mean? What should I be posting? What would you consider to be a quality post?
Something that informs or educates, Jill. That not this nonsense about buying my stuff, and something that resonates with the people that are reading it. So, because some people sort of like, oh, I shouldn't be putting my lunch up. But if your lunch is nutritious and you know some nutrition people, then why not? The whole idea of content creation is sharing who you are, what you do, and what your specialities are. And so Jill, you could share so many of the scenarios that you talk about. You could do a feature on the characters. You could go really deep on Tanya and all these other characters that you've created, because we all know somebody that we may have worked with or actually in our organization today. And that would be real quality because we'd get an insight into the different personalities that we all work with. So it's, and the thing is, when we're talking to people are asking us all kinds of questions. You know the answers. Just answer those with your content, and then you'll get the quality. It's more about the quality than the quantity. So if you're only creating content once a week, that's better than 95% of the people on the platform anyway, because less than 5% of people create content. But if you do it once a week, you've got all week to make sure that it is quality.
Right. Okay. Character features coming up.
I look forward to it. And so how can people get hold of you, Jill?
The best way is through the website or LinkedIn. So I'm here on LinkedIn or through resoundtraining.co.uk.
Fantastic. Jill, thank you very much indeed. Michal, thank you for watching. Anyone else that's watching today, and we'll see you next week. Cheerio. Thank you so much for watching or listening to my show this week. I want to bring to you people that can help us running our business. I love having a chat. I'm very nosy, very curious, and I'd love to ask questions. So if you want to be a guest or if you've got some ideas for guests, let me know. And if you want me to help you with your LinkedIn, get in touch, because I want to give you a voice. Now, that could just be using LinkedIn, but I do other things as well. So I can help you with a podcast, a live show, and all kinds of other amazing things. So get in touch. My name is Ashley Leeds. I'm the 15-minute guy, and you can find me on LinkedIn.